Hello and welcome to the Eat Like Ruby podcast. I am here today with a guest, a guest via Zoom, video chat, whatever we want to call it. So I have another one of my Eat Like Ruby gals here to talk all about her nutrition and training journey. I think you will be the third Eat Like Ruby client that we've had on in the last few weeks. So it's very cool, but welcome to the podcast, Kylie.
Thanks, Ruby. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay, I'm so excited to have you here. It's really cool because everyone who I reached out to, no one has said no yet. Everyone said yes. And obviously I expect everyone to say yes, but you never know. Some people can just be like, why would anyone want to hear my story? But yeah, I think it's so cool because obviously I sit here every week ranting and raving and my girls do this and my girls do that. And I think it's one thing to say that, but then it's so cool to hear the actual experiences and the ups and downs and such a mix as well. So many different ages and beginners, advanced and all the different things. But it's funny though, because of the three that I've had on, everyone has been a mum. And it's so funny because I'm not a mum, but I seem to just be attracting all these mums, but it's very cool. But I thought it'd be cool to just start by telling everyone a little bit about who you are, what you do, just to give people a bit of an idea.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I am Kylie. I'm 46 years old. I am a registered nurse and an educator. I have been for over 20 years. I have 3 children, beautiful children. So my oldest is living in America, playing college basketball. My middle girl lives in the UK. And my youngest is is in year 12 or year 12 next year. So, yeah, and I have a very loving, supporting partner, and we have our 2 dogs, so Gigi and Kylie. So, yeah, I have always been interested in health. Being a nurse, obviously, we care for people's health. But I guess being a mum, I think that you don't put yourself first for so very long. It's really hard to be in that space, I guess, when you are a mum. And I give hats off to any mum. Lots of mums say to me all the time, I just don't have any time. I'm like, yeah, I never had any time. When you had 3 kids, you work full time, you're running around, you're doing everything for everyone else, and I feel like you can really easily lose yourself a little bit. And obviously, your health is not a priority. So, 12 months ago, to be honest, my health, I've always been into kind of health and fitness, done all the different diets, I was a gym girl, but not lifting weights. I was cardio. I remember one of my very first memories is my mum taking me to the gym, when I was a teenager to do a step class, and, I was all very cardio based. And shout out to my mum, she's a great role model. She is a Zumba instructor to this day. So absolutely love it. And I think that, but strength training was never part of it really. And obviously nutrition was kind of out the window as well. So I guess towards the end of last year, I was I'm really unhealthy. My BMI was in the overweight range. I was not feeling good at all. And then over the Christmas holidays, I guess I don't know, I just stumbled across Ruby on Instagram, and I was like, I think she was starting a bit of a fat loss phase. And I was like, I'll join. And I joined, and at that moment, I did not know that, the impact that Ruby would have and the change that it made to me over the past 12 months. The education, is key. The way that you teach Ruby, is just everything to me. So I have learned so much. I thought I knew things as a registered nurse and as an educator, but I did not know things. So I have learned so much over the past 12 months, and I could not be more grateful to you.
This is so good. If people are listening, not watching, I'm just sitting here like a Cheshire cat with but massive grin. Every word you say, I'm just like grinning and nodding.
Yeah, so I have lost 17 kilos this year.
That's incredible, Cars. Like I was going to ask you if you're happy to talk about numbers, but you've
it's fine.
You've just told your whole story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think like that's honestly just so incredible. What was your, I feel like you don't mind like telling all the facts.
No.
What was sort of your starting weight and where are you at now?
Yeah. So I think when I saw the scale, and like I was never a big one to weigh myself, like hit the scales, anything like that. But and I definitely went off that I wasn't feeling healthy. But I jumped on the scale and I hit like 80 kilograms. And I was like, oh, that's not healthy. And I was definitely driven by, I wasn't driven. I didn't have a weight in mind. I didn't have anything in mind. Like I just wanted to learn and I just wanted to change habits. And I just wanted to be healthier. And I feel much healthier now. And there's such a big difference, in the way I feel. Obviously there's a big difference in the way I look too. But mostly it's the way I feel. So
yeah. I just feel like your story is so good and it's so like it's almost just perfect, like of everything I want people to achieve. But I think the cool thing as well, like when you've posted those sort of before and after pics, in your before pics, I wouldn't look and say, oh, she needs to lose 17 kilos. Not that we would say that about people, but do you know what I mean? Like you said, you were never big and like, oh my God, Kylie's very obviously overweight. You know what I mean? So even when you've been such a sort of like quiet achiever in a sense where you would just casually jump in and be like, oh, by the way, I've lost 7 kilos. Now I've lost 10 kilos. Now I've lost 17 kilos. But that was so cool. And when you said 17 kilos and posted those pics, I'm like, holy moly, like no one would have sort of said that you needed to do that, but then just looking at the before and afters and then watching you actually go through that whole process, like you said, just navigating different things, learning different things, implementing different things. It really has just been so perfect the way I see it. It's been so cool.
Yeah, it was strange because I guess like I didn't really know I was going through the process. It just kind of evolved and happened, and I just kept learning from you. I just kept doing what you said to do.
Funny that.
And it worked. Like if anyone's out there listening that is on the fence, like what Ruby teaches just works. So, I cannot vouch, any higher in regards to that. Like I stuck to the meal plan. I started tracking like things I'd never really done before. Hit the gym. Like the gym has been massive for me, and the importance of strength training for women as they get older is just, out of this world. So I'm really, want to be a big advocate for that in the future. And like I see it as, like it's not a weight loss journey or anything like that. It is what it, like this is what it is for the rest of my life. So, I want to be that 80-year-old who's still in the gym and, so I want to be a good role model to my children, and I want to be a good role model to other women and people out there as we get older. Like it's so easy just to fall into those bad habits and not look after your health. And I really think that everyone needs to just pay a little bit more attention to that and get some education and learn.
Yeah.
About how to look after yourself as you get older.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think like what you said at the start where you're a nurse. So I think there's a bit of an element where people either think like, oh, you should know what to do. Or I think even nurses or people in those similar fields even kind of put that on themselves, like, oh, I should know what to do, like I know about health. And I think it's so common for people who are in health fields, whether it's nursing or even whether it's trainers or nutrition, whatever, sometimes there is that element of like, I do this thing all the time, I do it for everyone else, and then I don't do it for myself. And I think that's so common with mums. I think it's common with nurses, especially when they do crazy shifts. I think it's common with personal trainers who do crazy shifts. So I think there's something in that where if anyone listening is in a similar position, I think it's super common for people to shame themselves and be like, I should be good at this because I encourage other people to be good at this. But I think that's so common and not really like brought to people's attention enough. But I think it's so cool that you did something about it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's so cool. And I feel like even when you said you were 46, I didn't know that. I thought you were like early 40s because I've seen you post. Did one of your kids have like a big-ish birthday recently?
Yeah, 21. So that was my son before he left, yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, if her son's 21, she's got to be like around 40. And I was trying to like kind of do the math, and that's so cool to think about at 46. And I think even then, like I've said this in recent episodes, maybe they haven't come out yet, but because we've had so many girls on that are all different ages, I think it's common, like literally people who are 30 are like, oh, I'm too old, I've left it too long. And then people are 40 and they're like, I'm too old, I've left it too long. And then 50 and 60. And obviously, like, I've had my mum on the podcast who got into all this stuff. I love that
episode,
Yeah, and she like got into all this stuff when she was in her 50s. And then you're getting into it when you're in your 40s. I've had Nita, who's another like sort of OG Eat Like Ruby. She did an episode recently. She's early 40s. Same thing. She only really got into it in the last 2 years. So I think there's another big message there. So many people at different ages think they're like, air quote, too late. And I think you're definitely not.
Yeah, no, hell no. It's never too late.
No way. So when you first joined, like where would you say your nutrition and training was at right then, sort of when you joined? If we think like you said before we started, I'd say it's pretty much been a year, like it was early Jan 2023. So where was your nutrition and training at that time?
Look, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best nutrition, like I would say 0. So and training, like I said, I was like a bit of a cardio. So like I was running a bit, and like I guess I was kind of in that mindset, that you burn it off and you can eat it. Yeah. So I was just my nutrition was just not being paid attention to at all. Like just eating whatever I felt like eating. Cooking like just those meals I guess you cook when you have kids, and so lots of pasta, a lot of takeaway, probably eating out a lot, different things. I've always enjoyed kind of cooking, and so I would make different things, and always like experimenting with things, with meals in the kitchen. But yeah, probably like no attention to detail as to what was in the meal or meeting any of the food groups or calories or anything like that at all. So, and the one thing that I really love about your program, Ruby, is just how simple it was. Like it's so good. Like literally, like we have a joke in our house now, like every night, like I still often cook lots of the meals, and it's like my partner will be like, do you want a hand? And he'll be like, oh, no, it's easy. I don't need a hand. Like, it's simple. Like, because that's what I would always say. Like,
I love that.
And he does do cooking. But yeah. So yeah, I just, it's just so simple to pay attention to what you're eating, to meet all the food groups, to have like wholesome meals. The fact that they're quick and easy just makes it so much better for me, especially when you have a busy life, you're cooking for, other people. Yeah. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so funny because the episode we did with Nita, I feel like you guys have so many similarities because she's early 40s. She's got 2 kids. I think they're about 10 and 12. She works, like so many similarities. And she said the same thing. Like she was like, we're just making those simple meals and we can kind of tweak them a bit for the husband or tweak them a bit for the kids if we want, depending on where everyone's at. But as a whole, like we are just whipping up the same meals for the family, which I think is so important. And it ties in with everything we talk about all the time with like, we're going to be eating forever and we don't want to be in that sort of 8-week challenge mentality or whatever. Because if we are like teeing up that stuff, it is only going to be that 8 weeks. And then you've got the family eating one thing, you're eating another. And then at the end of that 8 weeks, we're like, shit, do I just keep eating this stuff? Do I not? Like there's so much confusion. So I think that long-term focus is really key, and it's so cool to see with you. And I guess that's probably a cool thing to talk about as well, because I feel like you've had a really good journey where you came in and did the like big nutrition and training program at the start of the year. Then you just went into training only for a while. You came back into the fat loss phase. Yeah. And that's so cool because I've spoken about that so much lately on the podcast where I want people to be able to move in and out of different programs as they feel like, oh, that one suits me and where I'm at, or that one appeals to me. I never want it to be like, I need to join this program or I need to rejoin to get a result. It's more just like, oh, Ruby's doing a fat loss phase and I've got a fat loss goal. That lines up well. Or no, I don't have one at the moment, so I'll just focus on training or whatever. I think that's so cool and you're such a good reflection of that. So with your goals this year, like did you focus on fat loss for the whole year or did you have some breaks? I know we kind of talked about it.
Yeah,
at little bits.
Look, majority would have been just focusing on fat loss. Like I said, like it wasn't like I want to get to this weight on the scale. It was just I was, just being healthy, like following meals. I was in a slight calorie deficit. And because I found that was working and obviously the weight was coming off and I was feeling better and my training was good. So yeah, I was happy. Speaking of like, going in and out, I think that, the last fat loss phase, I didn't need to join, like, but like I wanted to join because I wanted to be part of that community. And I'm a big advocate for, always learning. And like I definitely, still learnt things from being in that phase. I actually so I got down to like my lowest weight during that fat loss phase, so 61 kilos. But I actually have come back up a little bit. I found that wasn't an overly comfortable weight for me. I was starting to feel a little bit scrawny, I guess. And so I upped my calories a little bit and I've been sitting at 63 for quite a while now. So I don't really weigh myself too much anymore, but jump on once a week or something. And then I'm sitting around there, which I'm pretty proud to. I feel like, that's my zone where I can still, perform in the gym. Because I found, under that I was like struggling in the gym a little bit and I didn't want to do that. So yeah. I didn't need to join last time, but I loved it and wouldn't have it any other way. Love seeing all the girls on their journeys as well.
I know. Yeah, that's so cool. It's such a good space. Like I've talked about that too much on the podcast. I'll sit here all day and talk about it, but it's just very cool. And I think literally everything you say, I'm like, oh, come back to that. There's so many good things that you say, but I think it's even so cool to really have gone through the process you've been through and learn everything you've learned to be able to make those really logical decisions of like, oh, I actually do feel a bit scrawny at this weight. I can actually go up a little bit, or, I am actually good to pursue fat loss on my own, or just, I think we talk about it so much in the podcast where a lot of people aren't in a logical sort of calm place making those decisions. It's very like, shit, I need to join this. What do I do? I need to get as light as possible. And I think that's just a very kind of like lost, frantic, desperate energy. And the more you learn and the more you really start to learn what truly works for you, you can actually just be like, oh, maybe I will lose a bit more. Hang on, no, that doesn't feel great. Maybe I will go up a little bit more. And I even remember at one point you came into the fat loss phase and I think it was when you posted your before and afters. And then I asked about your intake and you said like, oh, I hang around this amount. And then some days if I'm really hungry, I eat a little bit more. And I just remember like it's such a simple sentence, but to people that haven't gone through what you've been through and feel like who aren't in a really good place with their nutrition, that's not a simple thing because they're like, I need to be in a deficit, but I'm hungry, but I want this, but I want that. And it's, do you know what I mean? Like it's such a frantic energy where you will literally just like, oh, I eat this amount and then if I'm really hungry, I eat a little bit more. It's like so simple, but it's not. And I think it takes a bit of, I don't want to say trial and error, but I guess like you go through everything and you learn what intakes work for you. And even like you're saying, you learn when you are at certain weights or on certain intakes, you don't train that well or you don't have a lot of energy and you really just start to learn. I think the cool thing to go through is to learn the numbers and like learn your own numbers and understand all the numbers and everything, but then be able to actually get a little bit flexible with those and say like, okay, I know my numbers for my deficit, but I also know that I can just eat a little bit more if I want a bit more energy or if I am a bit hungry or whatever. I think the numbers are great to educate, and then that sort of next step is transcending it a little bit and just having the confidence to actually be a little bit flexible. And that's what I got when you dropped that in that day. I'm like, that is such an ultimate place to get to.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like especially, you know, as a women, it's really important to kind of be in tune with your body, I guess. And like that only comes from, you know, like you said, that trial and error. And you know, our bodies can kind of muck around with us a little bit and throw us curveballs. So it's really important to have that good base, you know, that you can come back to and be solid and know, okay, well, you know, I know that I feel like this if I do this. So I know I can go back to that. So I'd say like at the moment, like a big focus for me is my mindset, you know, regarding, I don't want to be like food focused or gym focused or anything like that. Like I really like, I've achieved a lot this year and I'm really, really proud of myself. But like I want to, and I want to maintain that like 100%, but I don't want to like, I don't want that to be my sole focus. Like I want to be able to do that, you know, and I want to enjoy the food that I'm eating. For me, like I feel like sometimes I can get caught up in like not like enjoying the food that I'm eating, like that actual, you know, mindset behind that. There's a word for that, Rubes. What's it called? I don't know what it's called. I forget now. Like mindful eating, I guess it is. But like, so I think like it's important for me, just to kind of, stay in that space in terms of nutrition. And like my training, like for me, training is like no brainer. Like I love it. I do it. It is like, it's just routine. So yeah.
That's so cool. And your like casual gun show that you've got going on. Like, we got to obviously mention that because I feel like you're in Victoria, hey?
No, I'm in New South Wales, yeah.
Oh, why did I think you were in Victoria? Well, I feel like anyway, we didn't really see the gun show for a long time, and then all of a sudden there was a few like stories in singlets, and I'm like, hang on a minute, Kylie, where did these come from? But I think that's so cool because if we really look at, I think like that was only pretty recently. So I'd say you're looking at then like 10 months of really consistent nutrition and training. Yeah. And then it's really starting to come together. And I'm like, look at Kyle's with the shoulders and the biceps just casually popping out a little bit. Yeah. But I think that's so cool. I feel like there's a million things you've said that I want to come back to. But I wanted to ask, because I said on what will be like when this comes out on last week's episode, because that episode will be sort of the first episode of the new year, and I was just speaking to common things we see sort of come up in the new year and things, you know, pros and cons, whatever. And I was saying on there, I think it's very common for people to not be okay with like failing. Like people are like, I need to find the diet and the training and whatever, and I need a result as quick as possible. And obviously in a perfect world we would get it. But what I was saying on there is with the fat loss phase, perfect example, 12-week program, let's say you come in and you give everything a go for those first 2 or 3 weeks and we need to adjust a little. Maybe we haven't found the deficit. Maybe you haven't found something that's working for you and we adjust. And I was saying on that episode, I think we need to be a little bit more open-minded and be a little bit more okay with some trial and error. Yeah. And I never want to disrespect people because I'm fully aware of someone being in a situation where they're like, I've had enough fucking trial and error. I really want a result. I'm always wanting to get that as soon as we can for a person. But I think we got to be okay with just trialing things, being like, oh, okay, that didn't work. That did. I'll adjust this. I'll assess this and all of that. So I would love to know, like, if you had any phases like that when you first came in. Did you find the deficit straight away? Did you have to adjust anything?
Yeah, no. definitely like adjustment period. So, and the best thing I think about the fat loss phase is like you don't have to focus on 20 million things at once. So, like, you know, I feel like the first fat loss phase for me was just learning as much as I possibly could from you, but like just like changing a couple things, like, you know, like just obviously like focusing on getting a certain amount of steps a day, like that's just a great goal to start off with. Just, you know, being aware of your movement and how much you're moving throughout the day, you know, and that for me has adjusted over time, my step goal for the day. And, you know, for me, that's become like pretty much my non-negotiable. So the first thing, so if I can't make it to gym, that's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up. You know what I mean? But like, you know, if I can get some steps in, then I know that like I'm moving for the day and I'm going to feel better. So I think that, and definitely with calorie deficit, like I started on, you know, what the calculator recommended, and, you know, I probably didn't stick to it for the first while, but then like it started to come in and I would focus on it. I had to go down a bit once I did lose a little bit of weight. So I had to adjust my calories there. And now obviously they're adjusted back up to a bit of a maintenance or a performance goal. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of trial and error. And I feel like the trial and error happens our entire lives pretty much, you know. So like ever since we first, you know, first started, you know, and any type of fitness or being aware of our nutrition and things like that, like it's trial and error. So it's like taken me until this age to find the thing that actually like works and is healthy. There's lots of things out there I feel that just aren't healthy, and they're extreme, so you're always going to go back to what you knew before. Or, you know, like the best thing about Eat Like Ruby is like, you know, we eat like pizza, we eat hamburgers, we eat like Nutella like it's going out of fashion. I never even ate Nutella before last year. I love Nutella now. Like we go through a massive jar of Nutella all the time. Or, you know, we eat ice cream, and, you know, it's like you can eat all of these things. You're not depriving yourself of anything. I feel like if we get into that kind of, you know, some type of diet or something where you can't eat this and you can't eat that, then it's never going to work long term. You know, we're not wired that way. Yeah. So it's, definitely a lot of adjustments along the way. And I know that more adjustments will come, you know, so.
Yeah. And I think there's so much in all of that because like I always say, like we're going to be eating for the rest of our lives. So like you said, cutting all those things out or doing something crazy, it really doesn't set us up for that long-term thing. And even with the fat loss phase, it's something where like I'll come in those first few weeks and be like, guys, if you know your deficit, if you know what you're doing, if you're experienced and you just want to knuckle down and go for it, go for it. Equally, if you're day one, all of this is brand new to you, exactly like you said, just focus on steps. And then when you've got those, just focus on protein, just focus on this. And I said it so many times in there to the girls where if every week you just focused on another little thing, by week 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever, you're really starting to tie it all together and find your groove. And that's where I feel like there's such a difference between people that go into something really dramatic for 8 weeks and cut everything out and do all those crazy things. And yes, maybe they do get a dramatic result, but it isn't really that long-term success. And with those girls in the fat loss phase that are doing little things at a time, I always say to them all the time, like, yes, we're here for 12 weeks, but we really just want you to keep accumulating those things and carrying those things into week 13 and then 14, whatever. Yeah. And then it's someone like yourself who did exactly that, kept it all going for yourself. You jumped back in, you jumped back out. You, like you said, there's so many sort of cycles and ebbs and flows. And I think that's what we need to be okay with. And I think we get more okay with it the more in control we feel. Like right now, I would say that you would feel like if you're like, you know what, I really do want to knuckle down and, I don't know, get under 60 kilos. You probably don't want to at all. But if you wanted to, you probably like, I actually know how to do that. At the same time, 100%. If I wanted to go into a gaining phase, I would know how to do that. And not to say that you ever need to do those things, but I think the feeling that you really truly do know how to take your nutrition and your health and your body comp and whatever in whatever direction you want at any time. That to me is the ultimate goal. That is the life-changing thing, because you don't then have to look at things as 8 weeks or this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm actually good and I can go as hard as I want, or I can pull back as much as I want, depending on my goal and where I'm at the time. And I think that's just the ultimate place to get to. And that's where I see you being. And even with what you said before about the mindful eating stuff, I think that's part of it as well, because I think we have phases where maybe we do knuckle down and do a fat loss phase and we're really motivated and we're strict and it's awesome. And the more we succeed with that and we get into it, I think we do hit a point where you're like, okay, cool, I've definitely ticked this off physically, but shit, my food focus is high and maybe my energy is low. And then you go into like a maintenance or a performance phase and you're like, over time, like, okay, energy's feeling better, food focus is feeling chilled again. And then you might sit in that for a few months and then be like, oh, I want to go back into a fat loss phase. So I think it's okay, like it's getting to that point where you're okay with prioritizing this thing and that thing maybe falls behind a little bit, and then you pick that up and that thing falls behind, and then we go on a holiday and everything falls behind. But it's really that energy of being like, I can pick up any of those things and take them where I want at any time, versus sort of coming into the new year or coming home from a holiday or whatever and being like, shit, fuck, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like, you know, that's what you have given me, is the tools to be able to do that. And I think that that's invaluable for anyone. And yeah, I think, like, as you were saying before, I think like people are looking for like a quick fix, or, you know, like an easy solution. Like, it's not fucking easy. Like, you know.
I was thinking before, is Kylie going to be offended if I'm dropping F-bombs?
Oh, no. Hell no. So like, it's honestly like, you know, it's like, you know, it might sound like, oh, you know, like she's got her shit together, but like it was fucking hard, like at times, like, you know, sticking to a calorie deficit, getting up at 5 a.m. to go training, you know, it's not easy. It's not like a walk in the park. But it's like, if you want to have a focus on your health, then, you know, you have to make some sacrifices along the way. And it's not a sacrifice that, you know, is going to, you know, it's good for you. It's good for everyone around you. And I feel like, you know, I'm really passionate also about like being a good role model for my daughter, you know, role modeling good habits, you know, teaching her, you know, giving her those tools that you've given me, so she doesn't have to struggle, you know, throughout her life, you know, wondering about nutrition and fitness. Like, she knows, you know, if that's what she needs to do, then she knows she can come to me and I can give her some help with that. So, you know, that's really important to me also. So, but yeah, you definitely, like, you get the tools that you need, and the way that you teach and the way that it's delivered is just, like, to me, it just really resonated, you know, like,
that's so cool.
It was really good. I like you. Like, you have a no bullshit approach. Like, I like it a lot.
That's funny. I would love to ask, if you want to talk about it, you decided to study, or you're going in that direction?
Yeah. So, like, you know, being an educator, you know, I'm always wanting to learn, and studied a lot over the years. I guess, like, it inspired me to want to learn more. So, I'm nearly finished my Cert 4 in nutrition, which is great. Yeah, and I'm doing my fitness as well. And I'd love to help people, you know, one-on-one in the gym, and, you know, especially older people. And so maybe that's something that, you know, can happen down the track. But for me, it was just about getting some more education, and hoping to pass that on to others down the track a bit.
Yeah, I think it just, like, ties in so well with the work that you've done, the journey you've been on. Obviously, we can see clear as day, you're super keen to help people as they age with all of this stuff. So I just think like it actually just makes so much sense for you to be doing that. It's so cool. And you can plug your page if you want to. You have a
thanks. So it's Instagram at healthy_aging_with_Kylie. So yeah, and got a Facebook page as well, Healthy Aging with Kylie. And yeah, actually have a free ebook coming out soon for Christmas. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
I love this. This is so cool. Guys, everybody check it out. And especially I think it's funny because I feel like I draw in people who are like 18-year-old students, and then I do draw in like the 55-year-old people plus that are, starting to think in that sense as well. So I think there'll be a lot of people who are super keen to see what you're up to with that, which is awesome. What would you say you're sort of working on now with your own nutrition and training? Like, where are you sort of going from here?
Yeah, so definitely, navigating performance and maintenance as such. Performance, as we like to call it in Eat Like Ruby, more so than maintenance. So obviously navigating that, like I don't want to be worried about really what I'm eating too much over the holiday period. I have I have 2 weeks coming up holiday. I haven't had a holiday all year, so I'm really looking forward to that, spending time with my family. But I also, I'm conscious, like I don't want to go into fuck it mode, as Ruby's awesome masterclass, if you haven't listened to it, but, I don't want to do that either. Like I still want to maintain, my goals but I want to be able to enjoy the holiday season. Then in 2024, just pursuing performance goals, I think, in the gym, and maintaining just being the most healthy version of myself that I can be. So continue to strength train 4 days a week and continue to build a little bit of muscle, which, like I said, I feel like it's really, really important for women as we age. Yeah, go outside. Like I really love hiking with the dogs when it's not too hot. We're lucky enough to live near the beach, so beach walks, lots of outdoors, lots of good healthy living, in 2024.
That's awesome.
And maybe, a fat loss phase.
At some point. I feel like that's so cool. Like, again, you're almost this textbook story where it's like you've kind of been through it in 2023 and now you're just like good to go to just keep it rolling in 2024, which is just so cool. Are you like still tracking your food? Are you tracking a certain intake? Are you flexible? Like, where are you at with that?
Yeah, so sitting around the 2,000 calories. So like, I guess like maintenance or it's a bit of a range, as we talked about before. So, I think like if I know, like I want to be able to enjoy eating out a little bit around this time of year. So maybe I'll be a bit tighter during the week, maybe stick to around 1,800 or something. And then on the weekends, like, around that 2,000, 2,200, somewhere around there. I am loosely tracking, so still using MyFitnessPal, but not as strict as what I was in a fat loss phase. But yeah, definitely still tracking, definitely still mindful about what I'm eating. But it's more about this is what I love. Like this is what I love to eat now. Like this is what we do. So
and your meals look so good. Like your meals on your Insta, I'm like, I love seeing that because it's just like it really is again sort of that perfect journey that I want people to have. Is like you've done the fat loss thing, you've had your success, you're good, and now you're at the point where you are eating a super enjoyable amount. And when I see these meals, I'm like, fuck yeah, Kylie, with the steak sangers and all different things. Yeah. It's just so cool to see. And I think even just, again, you drop it in so simply, but we forget that to a person not in this position, it's probably quite a big deal to just be like, oh, I am maintaining around 2,000, but coming into Chrissy, I might just tighten up my weekdays and essentially kind of create that buffer for the weekends. I think, again, if we think about the Fuck It Mode masterclass, the reason I make that masterclass is because so many people do just try and they, I'm trying, I'm failing, I'm being good. Fuck, I fell off track. I don't know what to do. It can be such a frantic time for people. And to just have gone through what you've been through and be at a point where you're like, oh, just tighten up the weekdays and enjoy the weekends sounds so insanely simple, but to so many people, it's like, what? It can be that easy? Like, what?
Yeah, no, yeah, it honestly can. Like, I think you want to, like, I want to be able to enjoy the time, like, with my family. Like, you know, it's that sitting around and just, like, enjoying, you know, just spending time together. I think, like, as you get older, that just becomes a hell of a lot more important. I think, like, this year for me, with two of my children being overseas for Christmas, like, it's just really resonates with me that, you know, that spending time together is what's important. So, yeah, and, you know, often that's very centered around food. It's centered around drinking. Like, actually, that was another thing. Like, I gave up drinking the last 12 months. So, yeah.
Oh, my God,
not completely. It just kind of happened. Like, I just was like, I love food. I don't want to drink the calories. So I'm like, I'd rather eat. So, yeah, and, you know, I probably was in a bit of a bad habit there of having like a drink or two after work, you know, like while I was cooking dinner or with dinner. And it's easy how, you know, habits like that just creep up on you very slowly and you don't really realize, you know, what you're doing, and it start to affect your sleep and things like that. So I love to sleep and I love to eat. So I was like, I don't love to drink. So that was a no-brainer. But, you know, still happy to have a cocktail or something on a special occasion for sure. So, but I do feel like that made a bit of a difference as well to obviously feeling better and feeling healthier overall.
Yeah, good on you. What a year you've had. That's awesome.
I know, it's been crazy, but like it just happened. Like wasn't intentional, you know, it just you know, we have a saying in our house, you know, do what Ruby does. It'll be fine. So it's like, what would Ruby do? Ruby would do this. That's fine. Let's do that.
That's so funny. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Do you have any questions, things that you wanted to ask or bring up, or I feel like you're in a pretty good place.
How are you feeling about your wedding?
I am feeling, well, it's going to be funny because when this comes out, it'll be old news.
Yeah, it'll be done.
I know, but I was literally just saying, so just a little PSA for everyone listening, like we're recording this end of November, so it's not coming out till mid-Jan, but we're organised because the wedding's coming. But when I got here before, I said to Soph, my wedding is not next week, but the week after. And I was like, holy crap. Because for so long it's been like, oh, it's 10 weeks, it's 8 weeks, whatever. Yeah. And then I'm like, it's literally not next weekend, but the one after that, which is just crazy. But it's going to be chilled. It's going to be good. By the time this comes out, everyone would have seen on Insta. Yeah. It'll just be us eating pizza. Nutella will be running around.
That's great. I love it. Like, yeah, it's fantastic. And I just cannot thank you enough, Ruby. Like, really, I know it's like cliche to say changed my life, but literally you did, like in every way possible, and I cannot be more grateful for you. So thank you.
No, it's honestly my pleasure, and you are literally like the dream sort of person that I want in Eat Like Ruby. Like, we obviously go through so many things, you know, behind the scenes and programs and this and that, whatever. And anytime we come in and I see people like you, and we had Nita on the podcast and stuff, and it's just like, yes, like this is why we do it. This is why we do it. Yeah. Whether it's the physical results or even just convos like this where it's like it really has changed your life, and that's so cool for me to see as well. It's honestly awesome. And it's funny, like I've been thinking so much lately. I've kind of mentioned it on the podcast, but I've just been thinking to myself, I feel like it's probably as I age as a person and as I age like in business, but just learning so much from the people that come into Eat Like Ruby as well. Like, I think when you're a young coach, you're just very like, oh, if you want to go to gym, then go to gym, that end. You know, when you're 20 years old and you've got all the answers. But when I sort of see people that come in like yourself, and you're like, I've got 3 kids and I'm a nurse. And then, you know, I've had people come in that, I think I mentioned it on a podcast a few weeks ago. I've had people literally messaging saying like, I think I've got too much weight to lose to join this program. And just like, we've had so many things like that recently that have just made me think like, what is it like to be in that person's position? What is it like to be a mum of 3? What is it like to be like heading into your late 40s and thinking about aging and stuff like that? Again, when you're 20 years old, you're not giving those things a second thought. So I feel like I've been going through that so much in the last year, just watching all of you guys, and even, like I said, little comments that people make in Facebook groups and stuff, I'm really like, that's actually amazing progress when we think about something so little. It's such a big thing a great place to get to. So I feel like I honestly learn as much from you guys as you learn from me. It's so cool to see. I absolutely love it. But do you have anything else you want to say to wrap up?
No, all good. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
What would you say if we think back to Kylie this time last year, that was pretty much joining Eat Like Ruby, if someone is in the same position where they're like, you know, I probably do need to lose a bit of weight. I need to start thinking about these things.
100%, like, just trust the process. Like, trust Ruby. She knows what she's talking about.
No pressure.
Just do what she does and it'll be fine.
Just eat like Ruby.
Do what she tells you to do. And, you know, just engage as much as you possibly can with, like, use the support that's there in the groups and ask questions. You know, I was always a bit afraid to kind of ask questions because I thought that was stupid or my biggest thing is don't ask Ruby for tips because she hates that. So that's definitely the biggest lesson I learned. Don't ask Ruby for tips.
Don't ask Ruby for tips, or don't say hopefully. I can have a good week.
You got to just trust the process. Just believe in yourself. Small steps are fantastic and will make a big difference to you, and your health is like number one. Like, without your health, like, as soon as something goes wrong with your health, and I'm sure a lot of people listening have had health issues, you know, it's like nothing else really matters. It doesn't matter, like, you know, that you ate the donut or whatever. Like, it's really like perspective. Like, you've got to look after your health. So and Ruby is like the best person to help you with that. So
shit, no pressure. No, that's cool. I think you've honestly had such a great journey, Kyles, and I think it's such a credit to you as well, because I always say, like, the best coach or the best program or the best thing in the world means nothing if the person doesn't actually get up every day and do the work, and you've clearly done that, which is just so cool. And it really is just so awesome to see you in a position where there's been such a good physical result, but also just mentally, emotionally, education, mindset, all of those things as well. I just feel like you're in a really content place. And it's even interesting, I think, to think, obviously this will come out in January, but right now we're sort of coming into December, and it's probably like this time last year, you're probably in a very different mentality heading into the festive season. And I think we forget that so many people live like that and so many people are in that place, because when you sort of transcend it and you get through it, you're like, it's not that big of a deal. But to some people, it really is having such a negative impact on their life. So I think it's such an achievement to go through a year like you've been through and be sitting here wrapping up the year just like, I'm good. I'm good, guys. So I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. If you want to remind everybody where they can find your new business venture.
Instagram, so at healthy_aging_ with Kylie, and on Facebook, Healthy Aging with Kylie. Yeah, and keep an eye out for my free Christmas ebook coming out very soon.
Can people get it after Christmas? Because this will come.
It's coming out the 1st of December, so in a couple of days from. But obviously, it's hard because this won't come out till January, but it'll still be available. So just check out the page and. We can send it off to you. Hopefully lots of good things happening in 2024.
Yes, this is so awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kyles. It's been my absolute pleasure podcasting and just having you in Eat Like Ruby all year.
Thank you, Ruby. Love you so much. Thank you.
No worries.